Okay, today we're going to go over my design and assembly of a Porgy Scup bottom rig. I have been researching all last summer, making design changes and trying different types of line and hooks and dimensions, and I have come up with this design. This is a 3-hook bottom rig. It is for Porgy. It is 36 inches long. It has a slip knot on the bottom to put through a sinker, either a bang sinker, or in my case I use a non-lead bismuth tin bell sinker. I have 9 inches between the hooks and the top and bottom of the leader. At the top I have a #1 stainless steel Bell Fisher crane swivel. The dropper lines are 3 inches long to a hook, and this is a Paxita #1 circle hook. This is what the hooks look out. I get them on eBay from China. It's a good price, and I recommend these for porgies. The hooks smaller than #1 don't go on the loop easy, and they may tend to bend. Larger than #1, the porgy might not take the bait entirely into its mouth. The dropper length is so that when you're drifting, the porgy can easily get the whole thing in his mouth, and the circle hook will very often hook the porgy without you touching the pole. The line is 50-pound test monofilament leader line. I used Cast King. And those are the pieces. Tools I use. You'll see this being used. This is a 4x6 piece of wood with a 3-inch galvanized nail tapped in the top. I use this twice when I'm assembling the leader. I take a 36-inch piece of trilene 17-pound test line to in the process of making the rig. Okay, I set up first. I use a bright yellow stainless steel painted yardstick, which I use for my dimensions on the line. I take my spool of 50-pound test monomaterial and I place it off to my right. And so I will begin. For the bottom of the rig, the sinker loop, I fold it over and make a 9-inch loop, and then I make a knot in it over once, and then a second time through to make the knot sturdier. Now I want this to be, the loop to be 3 to 3.5 inches long. So I paste the loop at the end of the ruler and I kind of tighten it up, kind of fudging around until I have the knot the way I want it. It's nice and tight. Then use these nail clippers to clip off the end. And we are off. I then go put the bottom of the sinker loop against the end of the ruler, and I come up 7 inches. 7 inches to here. Then I form a 4-inch diameter loop from the top of that loop, and I measure 4 inches, adjusting as necessary to get the 4-inch loop. Now, with that 4-inch loop like so, I slide my fingers down, hold it, and then the top doubled over part I start to put twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I have that gap. Then I reach down with my little finger and I bring the bottom of the 4-inch loop through. And I put the bottom of that loop, which is through the gap, over the nail. And this is when I start forming the first loop. Now it's important to very carefully pull this in such a way that the line in between the two twist knots is not looped up. Pull and make it nice and tight so that you have the kind of looks like a couple of fisherman knots with the loop. That does the first loop. And we go up 7 inches. Make another 4-inch loop. Adjusting to make sure it's 4 inches. Come down the side again, both sides, and put the 5 twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we bring up the bottom of the loop, bring it through the gap between the twists, and we put that over the top of the nail. It's galvanized so that it won't get rusty. Slide your fingers down either side. Now you see there's a little bit of a gap in the middle. We don't want that. So we pull more from side to side and less pulling down until that goes away. You want it nice, and so it's a judgment call between how much you pull this way and when to pull back and forth, because you want that knife to be good. If you do it wrong, if you pull this way too much when you're starting, this knot will not set correctly, and you have to start over with another rig. Okay, that's 2 loops. We do the 3rd and top loop. Go 7 inches. Then we do the 4-inch loop from the 7-inch point. Slide to either side where it's doubled over the top, and then we do our 5 twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have the loop. We bring up the bottom of the loop through the gap and put that over the nail head. Slide our fingers down. Again, it's like a triangle, and we want this to be done in such a way that the line in between the two knots there does not get turned over. You get a nice clean loop. So now we have our 3 loops. Now we go to do the top. We measure from the top of the top loop, we measure out 18 inches. And we cut this off and put the leader aside. Now this top end, we're going to put a number 1 Bill Fisher stainless steel crane swivel. And we're going to put this on with a Palmari knot. So we go through once and then back. So we have a loop. And we bring the top of the leader end, which is 18 inches, down to the top of the top loop, and so this is going back and forth. So now we do the Palomar knot. So you just do a simple overhand knot. And make sure that the swivel now is in the bottom. Then you bring the end of the loop over, bring it around the swivel, and now we're ready to pull a little bit. Okay, and we pull with both a little bit. Okay, now we I tighten a Palomar knot my own way, which works very good for me with 50-pound test. I pull somewhat moderately on the tag end, then somewhat moderately on the leader end, until it's like that. Then I pull very tight on the tag end and very tight on the leader end, and we get a nice tight knot. If you're not careful tying a Palomar knot, you can introduce line twist and curl on the portion of your line that is below this swivel. Okay, now this is 36 inches long, and now we're going to put the hooks on. For this, we take a 36-inch length. This is Trilene 17-pound test line. It's only used to help me get the circle hooks onto the dropper loops. Okay, so we'll be using that. Now when I do the hooks, I start at the top of the rig. So I'll hold the rig like this, the loop like that, between my fingers. And I'll also hold the hook here in front of the loop. Then I take this 36-inch line segment, I pass it through the front of the hook eye, through the top dropper loop, pull through, and bring it back through the back of the hook, the eye. And I bring it roughly halfway. So now I have the hook on the line segment, and I'm now going to pull the hook onto the dropper loop, and I'm going to use my nail and board. So I put the back of the dropper loop across the nail, At this juncture, I protect my hand by putting a brown, cotton glove on my pulling hand. And I wrap around and I brace on the front of the board like so. And then I use my fingers to kind of tighten down that bend so that this is parallel on both sides, the dropper, and I tighten down that bend. So now you position the hook close to the dropper. Take your snub nose pliers, grab the hook very close to the eye, because if you don't grab very close to the eye, you risk bending the hook, because this takes a lot of force. And you snap it on. So that hook is now snapped onto the dropper loop. It's very hard to get a #1 circle hook onto 50-pound test loop. You pull out the 36-inch line segment, then you look and you say, where is the top? This is the top. So then you make sure the hook is oriented so that the loop goes down over the hook away from the top of the rig, and then you pull that tight. This will give you a hook that's pointing up toward the top of the rig. Now we do this again for the second and third loops. So hold the loop between two fingers, put the hook between the forefinger and thumb, get your 36-inch line segment, which again is 17-pound test line. Put the line through the eye of the hook from the front, through the loop, around the loop, back through the back of the hook, roughly halfway, and try and pick a different spot each time you set this up, because you can put weakness in this line, the 17-pound test line, when you do a pull on. There it is. Put the glove on, wrap around tight, pull the line tight, brace against the front of the wood board, tighten down that, sharpen up that fold, bring the hook close to the fold, pick up the, hold it very tightly by near the eye, and snap on. Release the glove hand, pull out the 36-inch line segment, carefully lift off. Observe which end is the up toward the top of the rig, and bring the loop of the hook down over the bottom away from the top. Tighten it up down toward the fold which you already put there, and the second hook is done. Now we do the third. Fold between the middle and forefinger, hook between the thumb and forefinger in front, pick up the line segment through the front of the hook, through the loop, back around the loop, and back through the back of the hook eye. Roughly halfway. There's my loop. Put the back of the top loop over the nail. Put the brown glove on to protect my line from hands from being cut by the line. Firmly hold, brace at the bottom of the board, tighten down that bend at the end of the loop, and snap it on. Pull out the line segment, lift the bottom dropper loop off, see which way is up, and bring the dropper loop down over the hook so that the hook will point up. Tighten it, and this finishes the rig. And now with a finished rig, which is 36 inches long, in order to store this rig, I use 4 by 6 inch 2 mil poly bags with a label. And on the label I write down what it is. A 3-hook Porgy rig with Cast King 50-pound test mono, #1 circle hooks, and #1 Bill Fisher stainless steel grain swivel. I pick up the rig by the top, and then inside my hand I circle it through once, twice, and 3. So I have all 3 of the hooks pointing down. Then I grab this together, grab this in such a way like this, open up the top of the bag, and I put the 3 hooks in first, try and bring it down holding on, stop, take the top, so that it is down inside, hooks on the bottom, squeeze out the air and seal the top. So this rig, I can make a bunch of these and just store them in a container to use out on the water. The next video will show how I rig up holes and fish for porgies.